The Khilji dynasty or Khalji was a Muslim dynasty of Turkic origin, which ruled large parts of South Asia between 1290 and 1320. It was founded by Jalaluddin Firuz Khilji and became the second dynasty to rule the Delhi Sultanate of India. The dynasty is known for their faithlessness and ferocity, as well as their raids into Hindu South and defending the Sultanate against the repeated Mongol invasions of India. Origins. The Khilji rulers trace their roots to Central Asia and were of Turkic origin. They had long been settled in present-day Afghanistan before proceeding to Delhi in India. The name Khilji refers to an Afghan village or town known as Khalati Khilji. Sometimes they were treated by others as ethnic Afghans due to their adoption of some Afghan habits and customs. As a result of this, sometimes the dynasty is referred to as a Turco-Afghan. The three sultans of the Khalji dynasty were noted by historians for their faithlessness and ferocity. Jalaluddin Khilji Iqtiruddin Muhammad bin Bakhtar Khilji was a servant of Qutbuddin Aibak, who was an ex-slave of the Ghurids with a Turkic background. Khiljis were vassals of the Mamluk dynasty of Delhi and served the Sultan of Delhi, Ghiyas-ud-Din Balban. Balban's successors were murdered over 1289 to 1290, and the Mamluk dynasty succumbed to the factional conflicts within the Mamluk dynasty and the Muslim nobility. As the struggle between the factions raised, Jalaluddin Firuz Khilji led a coup and murdered the 17-year-old Mamluk successor Mu'izz-ud-Din Qaybad, the last ruler of Mamluk dynasty. Jalaluddin Firuz Khilji was accepted as sultan by a faction of Muslim emirs of Turkic, Persian, Arabic factions and Indian Muslim aristocrats. However, Jalaluddin in his old age was unpopular and not universally accepted. During his 6-year reign, some of Balban's officers revolted due to his assumption of power and the subsequent sidelining of nobility and commanders serving the Mamluk dynasty. Jalaluddin suppressed the revolt and executed some commanders, then led an unsuccessful expedition against Ranthambore and repelled a Mongol force on the banks of the Sindh River in central India with the help of his nephew Juna Khan. Alaruddin Khilji Juna Khan, later to be known as Alaruddin Khilji, was the nephew and son-in-law of Jalaluddin, raided the Hindu Deccan Peninsula and Deoghar, then the capital of the Hindu state of Maharashtra, looting their treasure. He returned to Delhi in 1296, murdered his uncle and father-in-law, then assumed power as sultan. Ala al-Din Khilji continued expanding Delhi Sultanate into South India, with the help of generals such as Malik Kafur and Khusraw Khan, collecting large war booty from those they defeated. His commanders collected war spoils from Hindu kingdoms, paid Kumsanganama to Sultan's treasury, which helped strengthen the Khalji rule. Alaruddin Khilji reigned for 20 years. He attacked and seized Hindu states of Ranthambore, Chittagong, Mandu and plundered the wealthy state of Devagiri. Also withstood 2 Mongol raids. Ala al-Din is also known for his cruelty against attacked kingdoms after wars. Historians note him as a tyrant and that anyone Ala al-Din Khilji suspected of being a threat to this power was killed along with the women and children of that family. In 1298, between 15,000 to 30,000 people near Delhi, who had recently converted to Islam, were slaughtered in a single day, due to fears of an uprising. He also killed his own family members and nephews, in 1299 to 1300, after he suspected them of rebellion, by first gouging out their eyes and then beheading them. In 1308, Al-Ordin's lieutenant, Malik Kafur captured Warangal, overthrew the Hoysala Empire south of the Krishna River and raided Madura in Tamil Nadu. He then looted the treasury and capitals and from the temples of South India. Among these loots was the Warangal loot that included one of the largest known diamond in human history, the Koh-i-Noor. Malik Kafur returned to Delhi in 1311, laden with loot and war booty from Deccan Peninsula which he submitted to Aladdin Khilji. This made Malik Kafur, born in a Hindu family and who had converted to Islam before becoming Delhi Sultanate's army commander, a favorite of Alauddin Khilji. The last Khilji sultans, Alauddin Khilji, died in December 1315. Thereafter, the Sultanate witnessed chaos, coup and succession of assassinations. Malik Kafur became the sultan but lacked support from Muslim emirs and was killed within few months. Within the next 3 years, 3 more Khilji successors violently assumed power but were in turn, all violently put to death in coups. After Malik Kafur's death, the Muslim emirs installed Shihabuddin Omar, a 6-year-old sultan, with his elder teenage brother Qutbuddin Mubarak Shah as regent. Qutbuddin Mubarak Shah killed his younger brother and then appointed himself as the sultan, to win over the loyalty of the emirs and the Malik clan in the sultanate. Mubarak Shah offered Ghazi Malik the command of Punjab and others various offices or death. The emirs chose the office. Mubarak Shah ruled for less than 4 years, then was murdered in 1320 by his army general Khusro Khan. The Muslim emirs in Delhi reached out and invited Ghazi Malik, then Muslim army commander in Punjab, to lead a coup against Khusro Khan. Ghazi Malik attacked Khusro Khan in Delhi, beheaded him, and rechristened himself as Sultan Ghiyath al-Din Tughlaq, the first ruler of the Tughlaq dynasty. Economic policy and administration under Khilji dynasty. Alauddin Khilji changed the tax policies to strengthen his treasury to help pay the keep of his growing army and fund his wars of expansion. He raised agriculture taxes from 20% to 50% payable in grain and agricultural produce, eliminating payments and commissions on taxes collected by local chiefs. Banned socialization among his officials as well as intermarriage between noble families to help prevent any opposition forming against him. He cut salaries of officials, poets and scholars in his kingdom. Alauddin Khilji enforced 4 taxes on non-Muslims in the Sultanate: jizya, kharaj, curry and chari. He also decreed that his Delhi-based revenue officers assisted by local Muslim jagirdars, Quds, Muqaddims, Chowdhuries and Zamindars seize by force half of all produce any farmer generates, as a tax on standing crop, so as to fill Sultanate granaries. His officers enforced tax payment by beating up Hindu and Muslim middlemen responsible for rural tax collection. Furthermore, Alauddin Khilji demanded state kulka and Rothamund from his wise men in the court to create rules and regulations in order to grind down the Hindus, so as to reduce them to abject poverty and deprive them of wealth and any form of surplus property that could foster a rebellion. The Hindu was to be so reduced as to be left unable to keep a horse to ride on, to carry arms, to wear fine clothes, or to enjoy any of the luxuries of life. At the same time, he confiscated all landed property from his courtiers and officers. Revenue assignments to Muslim jagirdars were also cancelled and the revenue was collected by the central administration. Henceforth, state kulka and Rothamund. Everybody was busy with earning a living so that nobody could even think of rebellion. Alauddin Khilji taxation methods and increased taxes reduced agriculture output and the Sultanate witnessed massive inflation. In order to compensate for salaries that he had cut and fixed for Muslim officials and soldiers, Alauddin introduced price controls on all agriculture produce, goods, livestock and slaves in kingdom, as well as controls on where, how and by whom these could be sold. Markets called Shahana-i Mandi were created. Muslim merchants were granted exclusive permits and monopoly in these mandi to buy and resell at official prices. No one other than these merchants could buy from farmers or sell in cities. Alauddin deployed an extensive network of munhayans who would monitor the mandi and had the power to seize anyone trying to buy or sell anything at a price different than the official controlled prices. Those found violating these mandi rules were severely punished, such as by cutting out their flesh. Taxes collected in form of seized crops and grains were stored in sultanate's granaries. Over time, farmers quit farming for income and shifted to subsistence farming. The general food supply worsened in North India. Shortages increased and Delhi Sultanate witnessed increasingly worse and extended periods of famines. The Sultan banned private storage of food by anyone. Rationing system was introduced by Alauddin as shortages multiplied. However, the nobility and his army were exempt from the per-family quota-based food rationing system. The shortages, price controls and rationing system caused starvation deaths of numerous rural people, mostly Hindus. However, during these famines, Khilji's sultanate granaries and wholesale mandi system with price controls ensured sufficient food for his army, court officials and the urban population in Delhi. Price controls instituted by Khilji reduced prices, but also lowered wages to a point where ordinary people did not benefit from the low prices. The price control system collapsed shortly after the death of Alauddin Khalji, with prices of various agriculture products and wages doubling to quadrupling within a few years. Historical impact: the tax system introduced during the Khalji dynasty had a long-term influence on Indian taxation system and state administration. Alauddin Khalji's taxation system was probably the one institution from his reign that lasted the longest, surviving indeed into the 19th or even the 20th century. From now on, the land tax became the principal form in which the peasants' surplus was expropriated by the ruling class. The Cambridge Economic History of India, c. 1200 c. 1750, massacre of new Muslims. Mongols from Central Asia tried to invade Delhi during the reign of Alauddin many times. Some of these Mongol people also settled near Delhi and accepted Islam. They were called New Muslims. However, their financial condition was not good. Alauddin Khilji suspected them of being involved in a conspiracy against him and of being a threat to his power. He ordered to kill them all in a single day. In 1298, between 15,000 to 30,000 people near Delhi, who had recently converted to Islam, were slaughtered in a single day, due to fears of an uprising. Their women and children were made slaves. Slavery during Khilji dynasty. Within Sultanate's capital city of Delhi, during Alauddin Khilji's reign, at least half of the population were slaves working as servants, concubines and guards for the Muslim nobles, emirs, court officials and commanders. Slavery in India during Khalji, and later Islamic dynasties, included two groups of people: persons seized during military campaigns, and people who failed to pay tax on time. The first group were people seized during military campaigns. The second group of people were revenue defaulters. If a family failed to pay the annual tax in full on time, their property was seized, and even some cases all their family members seized, then sold as slaves. The institution of slavery and bondage labor became pervasive during the Khilji dynasty. Male slaves were referred to as banda, qaid, ghulam, or burda, while female slaves were called bandi, kanas or launda. Architecture. Alauddin Khilji is credited with the early Indo-Muhammadan architecture, a style and construction campaign that flourished during Tughlaq dynasty. Among works completed during Khilji dynasty are Alai Darwaza, the southern gateway of Qutb complex enclosure, the Ijrat Rapri, and the Jamit Khana Mosque in Delhi. The Alai Darwaza, completed in 1311, was included as part of Qutb Minar and its monuments UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1993. Perso-Arabic inscriptions on monuments have been traced to the Khilji dynasty era. Disputed historical sources on Khilji dynasty. Historians have questioned the reliability of historical accounts about the Khilji dynasty. Genuine primary sources and historical records from 1260 to 1349 period have not been found. One exception is the short chapter on Delhi Sultanate from 1302 to 1303 AD by Wasif in Persia, which is duplicated in Jami al-Tawarikh, and which covers the Balban rule, start of Jalaluddin Chile's rule and circumstances of succession of Alaeddin Khilji. A semi-fictional poetry by Yaman al-Din Abul Hassan, also known as Amir Khusraw Dilara, is full of adulation for his employer, the reigning sultan. Abu Hassan's adulation-filled narrative poetry has been used as source of Khilji dynasty history, but this is a disputed source. Three historical sources, composed 30 to 115 years after the end of Khilji dynasty, are considered more independent but also questioned given the gap in time. These are Izami's epic of 1349, Dayi-Barani's work of 1357 and Sir Hindi's account of 1434, which possibly relied on now-lost text or memories of people in Khilji's court. Of these, Barani's text is the most referred and cited in scholarly sources. List of Khilji rulers of Delhi.